David, I found this story super interesting that Kansas University has received a $300 million donation from David Booth, who went to the University of Kansas. We're going to start seeing more and more of this in college sports, are we not?
Panther winger, too.
Paying a lot of money down in Australia, man.
Sawgrass Express.
The Marlins are the only MLB franchise to never win 10 games in a row.
Love it.
Yep. David Booth question.
Yes.
Back to you, David.
Yes.
I would just say that everyone who's talking about the rankings and the Power Four conferences, and I know, Mike, that means a lot in terms of Miami and all the conferences, but don't we agree that the conferences now and the power of the team is just based on the power of the alum and the willingness of an alum to become a huge, huge donor? And I don't mean like a celebrity becoming the assistant GM of the team. I'm talking about finding someone who's willing to write a check, because with $300 million and what they're pretending is happening in Kansas is that it's being used to refurbish an arena. It's being used for capital expenditures, but they're misleading you, because that money would have come from the athletic department in the school. Now it's going to come from David Booth, which means the athletic department in the school has more money to spend on other things because dollars are fungible. So they don't want you to believe that this is something other than what it is, which is trying to buy greatness. And I'm all for it. If you have an alum who's wealthy and willing to give money, I think it's the biggest gift ever. And maybe they want to become like Texas Tech, where you just start buying your way into success. But I assume that's what the NCAA wanted.
Here's what I don't understand, and Mike can probably help out a little bit here. Aren't we, I thought there were rulings this summer where there's going to be a cap and only a certain amount of money that you're able to spend in the athletic department.
Right.
When is all that happening?
That's a good question.
Right?
No, I mean, it ain't happening now.
It's not now.
It ain't happening now.
You have someone overseeing this. I mean,
yeah, and also you can make a gift to an institution and have it expressly not go to NIL. You're talking facilities, I imagine.
Well, he said $75 million of the $300 apparently is going toward renovation of the stadium, I think.
Yeah, I think people are also viewing this because of the business of college football. Keep in mind, they have a really great basketball program, rich in tradition that I imagine we'll get in that game. The cap is something that these institutions want to have in there because they want to limit the amount of money that these players can make, and it'll get challenged in court, and it'll probably lose unless the NCAA is given full autonomy, and even then, these things can get challenged individually in courts. We're a long way from a solution, I think.
But what's happening now, Mike, is that you have teams and you have presidents of teams and athletic directors who are trying to identify these alums who are willing to make life-changing generational type gifts, because it can change a program. And Kansas, you're right. I mean, from Danny Manning on down, that's an old reference, which I apologize.
No,
but
it's not.
Their basketball.
It's the only reference.
I mean, there's a lot, and I think you're thinking small by thinking alums. I know for a fact many of Miami's biggest supporters, boosters, donors, they're not alums.
Yeah, but David is right. If you're a school, every school has successful alums, right? And so if you have one at your school who is willing to support and finance the athletic program, you're in the game. I mean, that's it.
And that's the scary part, Stugotz, because what happens if all of a sudden you've got an alum from a school that's not in the Power Four conferences, right, and that school becomes a juggernaut, not just for a season, but over the course, and it builds on each other, and it becomes a decades-long thing. That's what they're trying to do with Kansas for sure. They're trying to make the football program better like the basketball program. So it's a very bizarre thing what's going on with the House settlement, with all of the caps that are supposed to be in place and the players getting paid, because it's all still a mess. And when things are messy, that's when people start maneuvering within the cracks and they start filling the holes of misinformation or lack of information with whatever it is they want to do. And that's why you're going to see a lot of disparate schools doing disparate things that some may say are nefarious. All of that is just starting, in my opinion, Mike.
Hatred for the NCAA reaches across the aisle. If you look at some of the Justice Kavanaugh, Justice Thomas, they've ruled against the NCAA routinely. Now, we have top-to-bottom buy-in on the conservative side of the aisle now, unlike we've ever seen. If I know the executive order out there, the so-called Trump Saves College Sports executive order, was a big nothing burger because it made things against the rules that were already against the rules. It was just, some would call it a distraction. From what, I don't know. Seems to be a lot of those these days. But we'll see when this thing gets to Congress and makes its way to the Supreme Court, when it inevitably gets challenged. It'll be curious to see, because there is a lot of disdain for the NCAA. And unless people listen to marching orders from up top, which does happen with this president more than others, I don't see the NCAA really winning in the end. And if they do win, it'll be short-lived before we go to private equity Super League time.
Private equity is something that the president has not gotten involved in terms of private equity availability for money to buttress budgets of schools. And you've got athletic directors out there saying, no, we're not going to go the private equity route. Those are called famous last words, because you pretty much go with whatever route you have to balance your budget, because every athletic director has to do that. And they want to compete because they want their own extensions and they want to get paid. So it really is a never-ending cycle of looking for more sources of money. The pro leagues are already there. Private equity is needed to get these, like the Cowboys at $12 billion valuation. Guess what? There is nobody who's going to write a $12 billion check to buy the Cowboys from Stephen Jones or whoever inherits it from Jerry when Jerry croaks. But private equity will certainly be a part of that equation. And that's why the NFL, the NBA, MLB now is working through that. How to get your valuations higher and higher means you have to take private equity money.
You mentioned Jerry Jones, and when he croaks, I know you probably saw the story.
He gets
yesterday.
the croak treatment, right?
Well, you saw he's been battling. He battled and conquered.
He survived it. Yes.
Stage 4 cancer, and he's been battling with that for a decade. Not like Jerry Jones to be keeping a secret like that. So, I mean,
it's an amazing thing, Mike. And listen, we've all had cancer touch us. That's why we stand up for cancer. And when I read that, I felt terribly for him, because stage 4 cancer usually is sort of game over. And he was able to get into a trial and get medicine. But then he said in the same sort of time, I like making news because that's what keeps people talking Cowboys. We don't have to win anything. We just need people talking about us, and our valuation keeps going up, up, and up. And then this came out. Now, if I am not cancer shaming, because he is a cancer survivor. However, I can tell you that it was surprising that he didn't talk about it, because it's the perfect thing to talk about. You get a little sympathy. You get a little increase in the bump of your team. Like, there's a few positives that could have come of it, and he kept it very quiet till now.
I get what you're saying, even though it sounds crass, but in the last 10 years, Jerry Jones has had some scandals that would have been softened by, just volunteering this stage 4 cancer battle.
He saved it for the Micah Parsons negotiations. I mean,
ace card there.
Can you imagine Jerry Jones doing the math of when he should release the fact that he's got stage 4 cancer? He's like, wait a minute, I got Prescott right now. This may be the time, but
he's
crikeys,
doing polling
I got
behind
Parsons.
the scenes.
Yes.
now, Jerry.
David,
They decided to shoot the bullet now.
David, I saw the Minnesota Twins. They put out a statement yesterday. What's going on there with them selling or not selling the team?
So that team's for sale, like the Nationals are for sale, like the Angels are for sale, like the Marlins are for sale, although the Marlins aren't for sale. But if someone came with a big price, everything's for sale. And the Twins were going to be bought by a guy named Justin Ishbia, who you may know as the brother of Matt Ishbia, who you may know as the not savior of the Phoenix Suns. And Justin Ishbia was ready to go. And then he said, well, wait a minute. I don't like schlepping to Minnesota. I spend my time in Chicago. Let's wait for Reinsdorf to croak. So he ended up buying the White Sox from Reinsdorf once Reinsdorf dies. And so now there was no one to buy the Twins. So what the Pohlad family did, the owners of the Twins, is they said, here's what we're going to do. We're going to write a letter to our fans saying we thought about selling the team, but we have such passion. We love Minnesota and Minnesotans so much that we're not selling the team. That's because no one offered them the price they wanted. So that's an issue for the commissioner. He's got to get these teams sold because he's got to get valuations that like what the NBA are getting, because they don't want to fall too far behind. They can't even see the NFL from here, but they got to get some of these teams that are for sale sold at good numbers.
Stugotz, you notice no one blinked an eye when David used croaked for Jerry Reinsdorf.
No, he deserves that, Jerry Reinsdorf.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's harsh, but no one seemed to mind.
I don't find croak to be pejorative. I find it to be an adjective.
David, are you surprised that the Lakers sold for $10 billion? I was kind of surprised to see the Celtics go for $6.1 billion. I thought it would be closer to 10.
So the Celtics didn't go for 6-1 and I understand the mistake because it's been wrongly reported. The way the Celtics transaction is working is that there are several payments that are being made by the Chisholm Group to Wick, who was the governor and is not going to be anymore, meaning he's selling the Celtics, but he's actually getting paid in installments. It's not a step transaction like A-Rod. It's installments. And the second installment is way bigger than the first from a valuation standpoint, which means the entirety of the team is worth well more than 6. You're going to find, and you're going to read this, just not today, that it's going to be north of 7. But still, that has the Lakers way above that, like a 40% higher than the Celtics valuation. And that's just either an overpay or an indication that LA is just a different world, that city of angels versus Boston.
Croaked is a verb, not an adjective.
Didn't see that coming.
Unbelievable.
Didn't see that coming.